On Saturday, here in the lecture hall, we will have the half-yearly school council meeting. Maybe you remember in the beginning of the term, I told you about the folk high schools and the free schools in Denmark, that basically any group of people who have the right purpose can form a school. And in 1921, there was a group of people defining and founding IPC. This group of people have changed, of course, over time, new generations coming, and this group of people is called the school council. So the school council is sort of the top of the IPC hierarchy, and they come twice per year to get reports from the school. How is it going? Are we on the right path? Is the school living up to its purpose and its core values and so on? So when we have the school council meeting, the principal, the chairman of the board, the IPC alumni, the staff and the students are asked to voice their opinion about the school. So on Saturday, two representatives from the student council, is going to be Nanette and Bojo, will report from you guys about how is the term going, how are the activities here, are we happy for our stay, and so on. And it can be criticism, and it can be positive feedback, and usually it's a bit of both. And of course, the school council members will listen, and they will ask questions, and so on. So the school council meetings are a part of the democratic structure of IPC.
フォルケホイスコーレはデンマーク発祥の全寮制のフリースクール。民衆による民衆のためのオルタナティブ教育機関であるフォルケホイスコーレは、国家や外部に支配されない自由でユニークな学びの場としてデンマーク社会に根付いています。フォルケホイスコーレが誕生してから約170年、今では北欧全体にフォルケホイスコーレ文化が広がっています。デンマークにはジャーナリズムに特化したものから芸術に特化したものまでさまざまなフォルケホイスコーレが点在し、今やその数は70校にも上ります。ここはインターナショナルピープルズカレッジ、通称 IPC。国籍も年齢層もバラバラなこのホイスコーレでは、語学から政治哲学、演劇まで多様な学びの場があります。
One relates to certain skills, simply a skill set, how to use your voice, how to use body language. So the name of this class is Current Affairs, and it's basically a class where we try to follow the news around the world, try to figure out what's going on in the world, how can we analyze and understand the news. The aim of the class, I would say, is basically for the students themselves to have some idea of how do they want to use news after leaving IPC. There are some students who come who are already following the news. There are some who do not follow the news. And I'm actually not here to tell them that they should necessarily follow the news or what type of news they should follow. I just want to make sure that people, after having had this class, have some idea of the different types of news that exist. And I hope that after having attended this class, that people will understand that there is so much going on in the world, and the news tends to focus on very small, usually somewhat negative part of what goes on in the world. So hopefully after having had this class, the students can make up their own mind of what news to follow and to what extent they want to follow the news.
I learned a lot, and I learned how to respect others' opinion, because we had the topics here about democracy, about corruption, about financial crisis, and then you hear from people who are really affected with these kind of topics. So it's a very good way of accept others people's opinions.
The folk high schools in Denmark, and thereby also IPC, we are so-called free schools. It means a free school is a school, basically a group of people have chosen to build a school. And to do so, they need to agree on a purpose of the school, and they need to agree on a set of values around the school. And if this purpose and these values around the school is accepted by the government, by the Ministry of Education, then you can run a school, and you are entitled to government support, also financially. So the purpose of this school is the cultural meeting. So we are a Danish folk high school, and we are under the concept of Danish folk high school. We are government supported financially also, but the school is for people from all over the world. And the purpose of the school is to bring together these people to learn about the world, learn about each other, each other's differences and similarities, and thereby also learning important lessons about yourself. Because when you meet people who think differently, believe differently, act differently from yourself, you also ask questions about what are my values? Why am I thinking, believing and acting the way I do? So it's about learning about others, but also in that process learning about yourself.
The things that you put over and kind of sort of secure up your trousers. No, anyone?
If no one is responding, take it as a compliment, because they want to see you with your trousers down. But I have some suspenders, but so we can talk.
Okay. Also, like a light blue shirt.
I have a light blue shirt. Students come here from all over the world, and we try to teach them about the world. But of course, the students are the experts. You would be the expert on Japan coming to my class, right? And you would be able to tell me things about Japan that I don't know at all. So in many cases, there is a dialogue in the classroom. And that's very fundamental, very important for the folk high school idea, that in the classroom, students and teachers meet each other in eye level. And that the teaching takes place among them. It's not always the teacher being the expert teaching the student. Very often it's also the other way around. So, and it's also a part of the whole democratic thinking of the folk high schools that students are asked to voice their opinion or to teach the other students. So the students become active in the classes. That's very important.
Within the legislation for folk high schools, it says that folk high schools should be concerned with democratic education. It should be concerned with individual formation, and it should be concerned with sort of the enlightenment of the people. And I think that these three sort of legs of the folk high school, it articulates quite well what folk high schools in fact are about. It is about getting to come to clarity with yourself. It's about where in life you are, what makes you happy, how can you achieve happiness. But it's also about making people aware of the fact that they are part of a society in which they of course have a lot of privileges, they have a lot of rights, but they also have obligations. And I think that folk high schools are very good at making people or students examine these obligations. Why do we have to take part in the democratization of society? Why do we have to take part in democratic decision making? And why do we have to oppose when we are left without influence?
Folk high schools in Denmark are very closely interlinked with democracy in Denmark. Because in the folk high schools, we made sure that ordinary people got a chance to learn about society, to learn about the world, to be able to be active citizens in a democratic society. So you can say that the folk high schools in Denmark became little satellites of democracy spread all over the country.
フォルケホイスコーレについてインタビューをすると必ず返ってくる言葉、それは民主主義。フォルケホイスコーレの人たちを含めデンマークの人たちはなぜ民主主義を誇りに思い守ろうとしているのでしょうか。成熟した民主主義国家とされるデンマークで生活する人たちは一体どんな生き方をしているのでしょうか。
If you look at the Danish democracy today, what is very different from many other countries where they have democracies is that the Danes trust their democracy very much. We trust the system because we feel that we have a say. What we vote, of course, but also when we discuss, when we voice our opinion, we have a feeling that we are being listened to.
すごい小さいことから意見を言うことのもっともっとうんと煮詰めると選ぶっていうことだと思うんですよ。例えば小さい子にみかんが食べたいかりんごが食べたいかって聞くっていうことをずっと続けるとどっちが食べたいか考えるんでしょ。でそれが終わったら例えばもうちょっと大きなことを選ぶ習い事を何したいか何がしたいそれを聞き入れてもらう経験というのをずっと積んでくると自分の意見を言うということが選ぶことからそれが意見になっていってもっと広がってきて考え方になって一つの考え方を選ぶとかねそれを言うようになるだろうし聞き入れられる経験がある聞き入れる経験がないと言っても仕方がないから考えなくなっちゃうと思うんだけども例えばたったみかん一つのことから始まってもとか赤い洋服を今日は着たいとか小さい子のことから考えて選ぶということをずっとさせてきてそれを聞き入れられることを家庭でも学校でも保育園でも幼稚園でもいろんなところでしてくるその小さな力の積み重ねが学校の中での一つの考えを選ぶとかそこが選ぶのから今度は外れて自分の考えを作り出してとか言語化して言うっていうことをどんどんさせてると思う小さいうちから。
We have a well-functioning educational system, a well-functioning health system. Of course, we have difficulties, and things can always improve. But basically, people think we have a good educational system. It's free of charge. It's for everybody, rich or poor. You can study for free in Denmark. You're even paid to study in Denmark. So this is important. Education is for everybody.
At a normal Danish folk high school, students would be from the age of 18 up to 25. And it's an enormously important age. It's of course an age where they are busy doing a lot of things. They are busy making a lot of choices for future education. They will meet the boyfriend or girlfriend who will turn out to be their wife or husband. They will make a lot of choices where to live, what to study and all these things. But at the same time, they also enormously at an age where they gain a lot of power because they also have voting rights, right? And it's a group of people who have always yielded a lot of power. It's usually a fairly big generation. I mean, the span from 18 to 25, and it's important to include them in society because if they're not included early on, then you will lose them forever. I mean, you don't just start having political interest. Political interest is not something that comes with age. It is something that should be nurtured by schools and by the state in some way.
It is an important part of our school system is that